All right, we are live late Saturday night. Can't be saved by the bell. Boxing talk for boxing fans. That's my channel. Give a quick introduction. I got two special guests with me: Owens Boxing Dialog and D from Standing 8 Count. You want to just take it over real quick, Owens? Introduce yourself.
Hey, what's going on, people? Owens Boxing Dialog. We talk that talk, and that's what it be.
And then we got the invisible man, D from Standing 8 Count, which is audio.
Yeah, what's up, y'all, man? After a 10-hour delay or 10 hours worth of technical difficulties, I'm able to at least, get the mic to work and at least connect. But I'm here, and we're going to talk about what happened tonight. Mildly surprised at what went on, but, we'll get it in.
Man, we saw like 5-6 fights tonight, starting on Fox with the Mares and Leo Santa Cruz fight. They both won their fights, both looked good, both got stoppages, and now supposedly we're going to see that rematch, Leo Santa Cruz versus Abner Mares 2 sometime in the springtime of 2018. And it's going to be a pretty good fight. I'm looking forward to it. The first fight, definitely an all-out action fight between the two. Leo Santa Cruz winning, I think it was majority decision the first time around. And then this fight should be another good one. Definitely favoring Leo Santa Cruz in the rematch. I thought he won the first fight cleanly. Abner Mares did really good in the beginning. But then it was just pretty much all Leo Santa Cruz, his activity, his punch output, punches and bunches, and he won by decision. So I expect the same for this rematch, assuming that we're going to get to see it. It should be another exciting fight, so you can't not watch it. Definitely going to be exciting. Santa Cruz versus Mares 2. You guys got any thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Owen.
No, I mean I favor Santa Cruz in that fight as well. Even like after watching Mares tonight, he looked good. He was supposed to. But I just think he's gonna gas out, and Santa Cruz is punch output is just gonna outweigh the gas tank of Mares, and he'll get the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in my opinion, considering we're now the SDBC.
Yep, I was gonna mention.
I'm gonna go. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, yeah. Well, since we're now the SDBC, I'm gonna go against the green a little bit, and I'm gonna go and pull for Mares. To be honest, I've never been a big fan of Santa Cruz. To me, he's a good pressure fighter, high volume guy, but to me, he's never been that skilled. I mean, I don't know if I'm being naive and just watching him, but to me, I always thought Mares was the more talented guy. He, like Owen said, he kind of gassed out in the first fight, and I'm hoping that in the rematch he's gonna take care of some of his flaws. He's looked good he hasn't looked that great ever since he lost to Santa Cruz the first time, but I don't know. I just always felt that Mares was a better talent. So in a rematch, I'm gonna go for Mares. Probably win a majority decision.
Yeah, me and Owens were just talking about that when you were setting up this chat. Mares is a really good fighter. I think he is more technically sound than Santa Cruz, but he's still the same Abner Mares from 2 years ago when he fought Leo Santa Cruz. And, when we saw Leo Santa Cruz in the rematch against Carl Frampton, he was able to make adjustments. He was able to do something we weren't used to seeing Leo Santa Cruz do, which was box more. He was working behind the jab. He was setting up his punches better, and he was able to win against Carl Frampton. So he has the ability to make some adjustments going into rematches. That's why I'm favoring Leo Santa Cruz in the fight. Mares is a really good fighter. He's going to come forward. He's going to set up some punches. He's probably going to be really aggressive early on. But it's going to be a very exciting fight, whoever ends up winning. But I think Leo Santa Cruz has that ability to make some adjustments But tonight, when we saw him, he was the same Leo Santa Cruz, just coming forward and throwing his punches, shaking his right hand as he usually does. But that got the job done tonight because the opponent wasn't the same opposition as Abner Maris. So.
No, to be fair, what you're saying. Sorry, my bad. But to be fair, what you're saying. Like you said, Leo Santa Cruz, he did adjust well against Carl Frampton, but in this situation, he won the first fight against Maris, so I don't think he's going to come into the fight with the mentality to adjust anything. He's probably going to do what he thinks is going to work and just do the same thing as opposed to Maris. He's the one who has to really do the adjustments because he lost the first fight, and he kind of knows what to expect from Leo Santa Cruz now. So I think when it comes to the adjustment part of the rematch, it's going to be more so on Maris' part.
Yeah.
Whether he does it or not remains to be seen, but I think he will, which is why I think he was going to win a rematch.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he does. I like Abner Maris a lot. I've been following him forever, so definitely going to be a really good fight either way. Then the winner should go into the fight with Carl Frampton by the end of the year. That would be perfect. Moving on. All right. Yeah, Showtime Championship Boxing put on a really good card tonight. 3 of the major champions at junior middleweight fought. 2 really good, exciting fights. The third one was, typical Mara, which I'm fine with because I like the sweet science and I like the technical aspect of it. Starting off with Jarrett Hurd versus Austin Trout. Definitely fight of the year candidate. I mean, there were some other good fights that will probably win the fight of the year that we've seen earlier. Definitely a really good scrap between the two. I was really looking forward to this fight more than the others because you got the young, undefeated world champion Jarrett Hurd versus the veteran, former world champion, but still had some left in the tank because he really did come out to win this fight. He was landing the combination, sending some really good counter punching, movements here and here. And Jarrett Hurd, he looked pretty good. His footwork definitely needs some work, definitely needs to make some improvements, but he looked huge, as I'm sure you guys will talk about in just a moment. And he was able to put the punches together. And ultimately, Austin Trout gassed out. Didn't look too good. Eye was closing. And ultimately, the doctor didn't let them continue. So Jarrett Hurd won tonight to retain his IBF Junior Middleweight World Championship and stay unbeaten. Your thoughts and comments? Go.
It was for the most part, it was a great fight. All while it lasted. Trout had success when he boxed, moved, and did those things. But down the stretch, with her size and power, it's just, and not just for Trout, but I think it's gonna be problems for a lot of them at 154.
Mm-hmm.
He looks humongous, man. You know what I'm saying? And he can take a punch. So, and I think what happened with Trout, outside of Trout getting tired, I think also what helped tire him out as well is just at times he was sitting in the pocket too much, trying to bang with him, and that's a big dude to be banging with. Like I said, I don't know what he weighed in at. I don't know if they even reweighed for the fight or whatever they put on paper, but he looked every bit of 180, 90 pounds. It just, like I said, he's continued to come forward. So, that's gonna tire Trout out down the stretch and start taking some big shots, and and that was that. But footwork needs to be addressed ASAP. ASAP, because if he fights a Charlo, like we talked about before, he's gonna get the socks boxed off of him. Mm-hmm. You don't have to sit and bang with that guy. You know what I mean? You can do other things and dictate the pace of the fight where you can box and move your feet and make it difficult for him. Because there was times where his feet was getting crossed, I thought he was gonna trip the way he was just walking around. I'm just like,
yeah, I haven't seen anything like that.
You got penny loafers on or something? So yeah, that's my take on it. But it was a hell of a fight though while it lasted. And hats off to Trout. I mean, he did what he can do while he can do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I agree with you guys. When it comes to the fight, it looked like Trout was fighting Kovalev in there just based on the size difference. I mean, again, Jared Hurd, his footwork was atrocious. He was kind of plodding around, chasing Trout around the ring. Trout had good foot movement. You know, he's a veteran, so he knew how to move around. Good defense for the most part. I mean, well, for the first few rounds in the beginning. But, I mean, as stated before, I mean, the size difference with Jared Hurd's pressure, he just basically broke him down, not necessarily with great punching, just the size. Austin was landing pretty good shots. The uppercut was consistent throughout the fight. He just couldn't hurt Jared Hurd because of the size difference. And to be honest, I was pulling for Austin Trout because I felt like he put up a good performance against Jamal Charlo when he fought. A lot of people I heard thought that he won that fight. I thought Jamal pulled it off, but Austin gave a good account of himself. And again, with Jared Hurd, when he fought Tony Harrison to win the IBF title, it kind of had that same look where he was getting outboxed for the first few rounds, and then the other fighter, just based on the size difference, would just wear down. And that's when Hurd would just put the pressure on him and get him out of there. So I commend Jared Hurd. He's the first guy to ever stop Austin Trout in his professional career. To be fair, he fought Charlo in the unification fight. I don't see him winning that fight at all because Charlo's a pretty big guy too, but and he's just a better boxer overall. And he's just a tougher guy. So I don't see, and the youth also is gonna be a big thing because I think Charlo's 27, so he's not gonna wear out like how Austin Trout did in his fight. I believe Austin's like 34. So yeah, it should be a good fight. But yeah, Jared Hurd, he was impressive in the sense that he could take a good punch. But other than that, I mean, I wasn't too impressed with the performance in general, but the fight overall was pretty good.
Yep, I agree. Mm-hmm. The next fight we'll talk about right now, Jamel Charlo versus what's his name, Erickson Lubin. Ended pretty quickly. Charlo, at first I thought it was a straight right hand. It looked like a little looping right uppercut in the first round that caught him, knocked him down, couldn't get back up, and the fight was over. First round knockout. Charlo making a successful title defense of the WBC Junior Middleweight Championship, staying unbeaten. I think he's now 30-0 with 20 knockouts. Hashtag lines only, future of boxing. Definitely, both the Charlo brothers are definitely the future of boxing. I think they're both really good, talented boxer punchers. And every time you see them step into the ring, they continually prove that. First round knockout for Jamel Charlo. And then I forgot what round it was, but when the other Charlo knocked out J-Rock with a one-punch uppercut. So these guys got really good punching power and probably, I would say, the best or second best in their respective weight classes. But it was a quick fight, quick win for Jamel Charlo. Any thoughts and comments on that?
It was quick.
Yep.
You got the job done. I mean, not too much to assess. You know what I mean? Really, one punch can change the whole outcome of a fight, and that's what it was tonight. Really, at the end of the night, you know what I mean? It wasn't too much to really. Not too much of dialogue on that. Did Lubin jump? Was this something way too soon for Lubin? When it's all said and done now, you know what I mean? And then how does he respond now after this? Because like we were talking earlier, and I was saying is like the way his body reacted when he took that punch was interesting to me. It was very interesting to see how it tensed up and just was weird. So it's like, my thing is how does he bounce back and what's next? Like,
Mm-hmm. I think they mentioned maybe him versus J-Rock.
Oh yeah, I think that would be a good matchup. I mean, I know for a fact that J-Rock had a recent fight. I don't know who he fought. I know he won by knockout, but I don't know. For some reason, after the fight was over, that was the first fight I thought should be made. But just in terms of the fight tonight, like Owen said, it's not much to assess. It was a quick knockout. I was pulling for oh man, I was pulling for Lubin because he's a Florida boy. But I predicted Charlo would win the fight. That punch, I mean, a lot of people like you said before, thought it might be too much too soon for Lubin. I thought that punch, I mean, it would have been different if he got beat up for 12 rounds. Then I might have, thought, okay, well, it was too much too soon, but he got caught with a clean shot he didn't see coming. So that could have essentially happened to anybody. Again, I think he's 22 now. I mean, it's a good learning experience. Hopefully he comes back stronger. Again, a knockout like that can change the course of many fighters' careers. But he's young. He should be able to bounce back. In the post-fight interview, he sounded okay. He didn't seem like he was devastated. He seemed pretty cool and calm to me. So I'm assuming he's probably gonna go back to the drawing board, get some more training in, and hopefully learn from this and potentially not lose again. So we'll see.
I didn't even know he's 22 years old. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Way too early. Be fighting Jermell Charlo. But yeah, the Charlo brothers, definitely some of the best out there right now. And then just to cap off the night for the last fight, Esilandi Lara, who I think is still one of the best 154-pounders out there, even though sometimes he doesn't look as impressive. I know Owens wasn't watching the fight too much. I saw most of it was on basically just outbox and slow down the pace, landing pop shots, 1-2 punches at a time, some clean, effective punches throughout the fight. Set him up with the right hook, and I think it was a left uppercut to the body that knocked him down in round number 4. And then Terrell Boucher had a pretty good round number 7 if you want to give him that round. Other than that, Lara basically outboxed him for a 12-round unanimous decision to keep his WBA Junior Middleweight World Championship and improving to 25-2-2. Like I said, it's probably one of the best, if not the best, at 154 pounds. I think him versus Jermell Charlo, hopefully they push for that fight. I hate to say it could go either way, but that fight could go either way. And that would be definitely a solid test for Esilandi Lara. Other than the Canelo fight, he usually wins his fights pretty convincingly. I appreciate the sweet science and I like his style, so I don't mind when it's a slow-paced fight like that. But unfortunately, this wasn't a main event, and the first 2 fights were really exciting, and both ended in a knockout. I know Dan Rayfield was roasting the fight on Twitter. People were just pouring out of the arena so fast, I guess, at the midway point in the fight. But I appreciate the style. I don't mind it. Even if it's the main event, he put in the work in like 12-round unanimous decision, and hopefully they push for a bigger, more exciting fight because the guy who was fighting Terrell Boucher, who I'm not super familiar with, I mean, I know Lara limits the punches of his opponents, but this guy wasn't throwing too many punches at all. So he definitely wasn't going to win the fight. But Lara, unanimous decision victory. He looked good, and I still think he's the best. And if he fights Jermell Charlo, that will, determine who is the best at 154. Definitely, whoever wins could potentially be top 5 pound for pound easily. Both fighters are really good. But it was a good fight. Not as good as the first 2. But you're not going to expect too much more from Esilandi Lara.
Then Lara and okay, which one? So they used to be stablemates with when Jermell was with Ronnie Shields. I thought it was interesting when they asked him who did he want, Lara or Hurd. And, he picked Hurd, but the way kind of like dipped off of the question of Lara. I thought that was kind of, so I wonder if that fight would ever even get made since they used to be.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I heard.
I wonder if that will ever even materialize.
Hopefully.
Well, when it comes to this fight, I mean, again, I appreciate technical fighters. Again, his punch output isn't the highest, but again, he's real technical. He has power in that left hand. I mean, he dropped Boucher. I forgot what round it was, but I mean, I don't think Boucher was really that hurt. It was kind of like a flash knockdown, but it was still a solid punch that dropped him. Lara, I mean, like they were saying, the announcer was saying, he kind of fights to the level of his competition. So if he gets somebody who's exciting, who's skilled, who's going to pressure him, he fights to their level. And in this particular case of Boucher's a lower level guy. So he kind of fought to that level, which is why the fight was seemingly not entertaining. Boucher didn't really throw too many punches, and when he did, he got countered effectively. I mean, he had his moments and his spots here and there, but he never, I don't think Lara even looked stressed in any round at all. His face, he had a poker face the whole time. He did what he does best, which is, pot shot and throw, the occasional combination. Again, like you guys was mentioning, when Charlo won his fight, he called out Hurd. I think when they did the interview with Hurd in the stands, he said he called out Lara. He didn't call out Lara, but he said he preferred to fight Lara because I guess this will be his third southpaw in a row, and I guess he wants to kind of keep in that vein of fighting those kind of fighters for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, I'd rather see Charlo fight Hurd because they're both young, both bigger, 154 pounders, and Lara, he's probably one of the better technical fighter out of the bunch, but I don't see him really fighting Charlo because, again, they used to be stable mates. He voiced that he doesn't care since he's no longer being trained with Ronnie Shields. But I just want to see Hurd. I want to see if he improves his footwork at all, if he just improves in general, and see if he can kind of take on someone like Charlo. Again, I don't even know how old Hurd is right now, but again, he defended his title against a veteran like Charlo, so I feel he's ready for a step up in competition and fighting Jermall. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, just to add to that, that's one of the things I like about Islandi Lara. He's so cool, calm, and collected. And if you're not forcing the issue, if you're not pressing the action and throwing punches, he's just gonna take his time. He doesn't care. He's gonna work behind the jab, top shot. He does have punching power. He does have quick hands. When he does knock you down, it's usually like a flash knockdown, like you said. But if you don't give him anything, he's just he doesn't care if the crowd boos or if they all get out of their seats and leave. He's just gonna do his thing. And that's fine. I mean, at the end of the day, it probably hurts him more than anything because he's hard to market. But if you're gonna put him in there with the Hurd or a Charlo, they're going to press the action and they're going to bring out the best of Islandi Lara. So that's what makes those fights so intriguing. And you could pretty much mix and match them. I think Hurd should go down the route of like a Julian Williams, maybe another tune-up after that, get that footwork under control, and then go after Lara or Charlo, because if he does it too soon, I don't think he's going to win either of those fights. But at the end of the day, you can mix and match it. Either way, you're going to get a really good fight. And now that these fights are done, hopefully we get those fights coming up in the next year or two. So,
yeah, I would love to see Andre in the mix, but I think he moved up to 160. So,
he hardly fights. I forget all about him. I think he's fighting up pretty soon. Yeah.
Yeah, he's fighting at 160. I don't know who the opponent is, but I know they were in negotiation allegedly for him to fight Lara. I don't know what happened with that. I think the rumor or they accuse him of pricing himself out, I believe, which a lot of people use that excuse when it comes to like fights falling through. But again, I think they fought maybe a couple times in the amateurs and Lara beat him. But you know, amateurs and professional ranks are totally different. But I really wanted to see that fight. I was hoping they would get it made, but it didn't work out. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I forgot all about him. But hopefully he stays at 154 because any of those fights would be really good. But if he can't get them done, there's definitely some good options for him at 160. So we'll see what ends up happening with him.
Well, let me ask this: when you say a possible Hurd versus Lara, like how do y'all see that matchup? Like when I look at it, like you know, Lara's slick and he can move and all that, but you know, just looking how big Hurd is, like I said, his footwork is really tomato-ish. I don't want to put the can behind it, but he got bad footwork. But do you think that Lara will be able to keep him off of him?
I think so because when he fought Canelo, who's a big, strong, light heavyweight, basically after rehydration, Lara did a lot of boxing and moving, so he avoided a lot of those punches by moving around the ring, and I think that's ultimately what hurt him in the fight because he did too much backing away, and kind of like the Triple G versus Canelo fight that we just saw. So it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
Who, you know, judging the fight, but I think he could hold his ground because he has that experience with Canelo, big, strong puncher, probably punches harder than Hurd. So he could keep him at a distance, and if he needs to move, he'll move and pop shot and land effective combinations. But Hurd does look really big and strong, that's for sure. And if he gets that footwork under control, he's definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Fast. No, I think Lara will take him because again, his footwork, as we've been talking about over and over, isn't the best. To me, Hurd is like a big Margarito in the sense that he just plows forward, no real footwork. I don't think Hurd threw any real solid combination throughout the fight. He had his moments where he was landing some solid shots on Trout, but nothing like, to me, he's just not that skilled overall. Like when I watched him fight against Tony Harrison, it was like he was just there to be hit. He has no real defense. I mean, he showed a little bit of flashy defense against Trout after the headbutt, but it kind of threw off Trout's timing. But when it comes to this, every time I watch Hurd, I mean, the only thing that I can remember that people kind of praise is that uppercut he landed against one of his opponents, I think 3 fights ago.
Yeah.
But overall, like I watch him, I'm like, I thought if he fought Erickson Lubin, I thought Lubin could probably beat him if they matched him up. But again, his main attribute is his size right now because again, he wore down Trout, and Trout is an older guy who's been through a few tough fights leading up to this fight. Someone like Lara, who hasn't really taken too much damage, you know, has a great amateur pedigree, has fought not bigger competition in terms of size, but just bigger named opponents. He fought Angulo, who dropped him twice. He was able to finish off Angulo. I don't see Jarrett Hurd. I can't see anything in Jarrett Hurd's arsenal, or I can't see anything based on his past fights that would lead me to believe that he would beat Lara. Lara just is not, and plus Lara, in comparison to Trout, has power. That left hand has dropped many of an opponent, you know, in the past. And I think even though Jared, you know, has a tough chin, he can't take too many clean shots from Lara without hesitating to put forth his own offense throughout 12 rounds anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Lara will beat him pretty. I don't want to say easily, but definitely, I believe will win that fight, especially if it happens sooner than later. Because Lara's getting old. I mean, even though he doesn't take a lot of punishment, he's still 34 years old. And, you know, his last fight was easy work against Yuri Foreman, knocked him out. Easy work again tonight. So he hasn't been tested in a while. So we'll see who he ends up fighting if he gets tested in those fights.
Yeah, he's due for a big fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, after seeing 3 of the 154-pound world champions. The only other belt holder is Miguel Cotto, who's fighting on December, whatever it is, I think the 2nd against Sadim Ali. Whether he wins that fight or not, he's bound to vacate the belt if he wins, or Sadim Ali will be world champion. Who do you think is the best 154-pounder tonight, now that you saw 3 of the active world champions? Me personally, real quick, I think Lara, but he's neck and neck with Charlo for sure, and hopefully we get that fight.
Yeah, I like Charlo, and I'm looking at longevity. You know, because he's young, but I see Charlo, and hopefully we can get to Charlo and Hurd fight next.
Yeah.
You know, we hope for a lot of these damn fights that wait, you know what I mean? But I think between Charlo and Hurd, the winner out of that, which I think Charlo can will win that. I think that would be the supremacy right there. I mean, I'm not trying to leave Lara out of the mix, but you know, what's next for him? You know, who are they gonna put him in a big fight with? It would have to be one of those two, if that's even gonna happen. You know what I mean?
I think y'all both are wrong. The best 154-pounder is Amir Khan.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Amir Khan.
He's going to take over the division. Well, he fought at 155 against Canelo. So, yeah, it's definitely Amir Khan. But on the real, Charlo, I think Charlo, based on his last 3 fights, John Jackson and whoever else he fought leading up to this time period, he's shown to me that he's the best 154-pounder. Lara, again, he's been proving it for so long, but again, it's just the nature of his wins. It to me haven't been that impressive. Again, I like technical fighters. I loved Floyd. I love Rigondeaux, but just in terms of what Charlo's been doing leading up to tonight, he just stands out as the best 154-pounder. I think if he fought Cotto, he'd probably knock Cotto out right now.
Yeah.
Jared Hurd, I don't know if he'll knock Hurd out, but he beat him up pretty bad through a 12-round fight. Lubin. So what happened with Lubin? You know, I'd like to see J-Rock fight Charlo. That'd be a good fight. See if he can. No. Not Jermall. Jermell Charlo.
Okay.
Because he fought Jermall, right? I believe he fought Jermall and got KO.
Jamal, he fought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if J-Rock doesn't fight Lubin, which I suggested earlier, after another fight, after J-Rock fights again, I'd like to see him fight for the WBC title, just to see if he can, at least pick off maybe one of the Charlo brothers. I don't think he will. It'd just be a good matchup in my opinion.
Yeah, they could play it as a revenge fight.
Yeah.
Good sell, but
Market it good.
Or Amir Khan, don't
Amir Khan,
like I said before.
Is him and Kell Brook gonna dance or what?
They need to. I mean, they both.
That's the only fight. I said the other day when I seen it, I was telling somebody, I was like, it makes sense for both of them, especially for Kell Brook and his eye socket situations, and Amir Khan and his chin. So I think he would be able to withhold Kell Brook's punches for the most part.
I saw a recent interview with Amir Khan. They were asking him about that fight, and he was really dancing around it, like how Keith Thurman dances around a fight with Errol Spence. It's like Amir Khan was making all these excuses about, they both need to win a couple fights so the fight can be big again, trying to stall it out. And then the guy who's interviewing him was like, it's a big fight now. Like it's like he's again, Amir Khan trying to find every reason not to have the fight happen. But that guy, I like how he interviewed Khan because he was really pressuring Khan to just say, hey, either you're going to take the fight or you're not. Don't try to stall it out. Don't say it needs to get bigger because when it was a big fight, you didn't want to do it. And, now it's not as big as it once was. It's still a big fight, especially in England. but he's dancing around it. And again, I can't think of anybody Amir Khan could fight right now that would be a bigger fight than Kell Brook. There's no one, because I can't think of anybody. Maybe if you fought Pacquiao, that would be a big fight.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Pacquiao fight.
And I think any fight over the pond is big, because they pack the house with, damn near 100,000 plus in the marinas. So Amir Khan and Kell Brook, that sells instantly. That's a done data.
Because again, even with Kell Brook losses, you could say he kind of quit, so to speak, but they were respectable losses. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get beat up. I mean, he gave Golovkin some good work for as long as it lasted. And even with the Errol Spence fight, again, he was doing well leading up to, the midpoint of the fight where Errol took over. But I mean, again, so he hasn't lost too much credibility in terms of maybe his fan base, but Amir Khan, he has more to worry about, because I'm sure he lost a few fans just based on how he talks about, fighting, how he avoids fighting Kell Brook, how he kept pushing and fighting for a big fight that he never got, and how he got killed in his last fight. I mean, his fan base, I'm sure, kind of wavered a little bit. So you figured he would jump on an opportunity to make good money and more than likely gain some fans if he was able to beat Kell Brook if they fought, in England. But for whatever reason, he's really dodging the fight, mainly because I think he doesn't want to suffer the embarrassment of losing to a countryman who's been calling him out for years. But at the end of the day, this is the fight that needs to be made in terms of him and his welterweight career, unless he's going to move up and take over 154, like I've been saying this whole conversation. Y'all keep laughing at me. I don't understand, but it's all good.
Are you serious about that?
Pushing a hard line on that. I'm with you, though.
I mean,
I'm Team Khan until 2018. After that, I'm dropping him. So
yeah. I mean, Amir Khan is irrelevant.
I got you, Scott. Irrelevant. Boom.
There you go. Thank you. But no, we'll see what happens. He keeps saying he's going to fight, but he doesn't fight. The only fight that makes sense is Kell Brook.
He's gonna have a sudden surgery. He's gonna have an elbow surgery like Keith Thurman and not fight for another.
Well, Keith Thurman, I like Keith Thurman because at least he's honest. Like in the interviews, not tonight, but the interviews from the other day, he's like, it's not gonna be his next fight. Probably not gonna be the fight after that. He said in his interview. So I know they were pushing for the Spence fight in late 2018, but Keith Thurman already said that's probably not gonna happen. So at least he's honest about it. And it's probably just a little too early for the fight to happen. I think we could build it up throughout 2018 and get it early for 2019. But we'll see what ends up happening with that. But at least he's honest about it, because he, like you said, he was dodging around the question, but he originally said that it's probably not going to happen in 2018. So I like Keith Thurman. I think he's one of the best.
I mean, I agree. He's probably the top welterweight in the division. And again, I know a lot of people are pressuring him because of the fact that Errol Spence is putting a lot of pressure on him to make that fight happen. I guess the reason why a lot of people are, upset about how Keith is responding to the situation is because in Errol's case, not too many people are trying to jump to fight him. So if they stall the fight out until, let's say, 2019 or let's say the end of 2018, it's like who are going to fight in between time? Because again, the Lamar Peterson fight, I don't know how long it was in the works, but it seemed like he had to really fight. I mean, he really had to work hard to get an opponent. Mm-hmm. So I mean, Sean Porter doesn't seem like he wants it. Danny Garcia doesn't want to fight anybody unless it's Rod Salka or Brandon Rios, or he doesn't really want a real test. He might call Paulie Malignaggi for a rematch at this point. But yeah, with Errol Spence, he's still young. He just got the belt, and it took him so long to get an opponent. And again, Lamar Peterson wasn't really on anybody's radar. I mean, he was trying to fight, top guys. He was calling out the Danny Garcias. He was calling out Keith Thurman, of course. But again, if Keith stalls it out, I just feel like in the interim time period, Errol's not going to get too much work in. There's no one really clamoring to fight him. So I don't know.
I mean, I think you mentioned it. I didn't see any articles, but Keith Thurman might fight Jesse Vargas next, which will be a tune-up for him because he hasn't fought in over a year, Jesse Vargas. And then I think Keith Thurman could end up fighting either Danny Garcia or Sean Porter in a rematch. Because I think Danny Garcia has been a little more bitter towards the first fight. But Sean Porter, he's more like, it was a good fight. It was close. It was exciting. Let's do it again. So he has a little more of a positive outlook on that fight. And they're both with Al Heyman. So I think they could definitely make a case for that fight, especially if Sean Porter looks good against Adrian Granados, who he's fighting on November 4th. So we could see Keith Thurman fighting one of them again, even though Keith Thurman, I would believe, would win those fights. Both of them, if it were Jesse Vargas or Keith Thurman, or not Keith Thurman. It's like 3 a.m. They'll rematch with Danny Garcia or Sean Porter. And then hopefully fight Errol Spence in 2019. But personally, I don't think anyone will beat Keith Thurman. You can mark my words. Keith Thurman will be the next Floyd Mayweather. Unbeatable.
Second.
You have a lot of faith in Keith. I don't know about unbeatable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I second that.
All right. He ain't no easy picking.
I think I'm telling you, I think Errol Spence gives him a run for his money.
Absolutely.
And that fight, and it all just depends. Like I said, Keith can win that fight. You know what I'm saying? Without a doubt. It just depends on what he allows. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And if he allows Spence to do what Spence does, and he allows Spence to get in and get to tapping that body, I think it's gonna be hard for Thurman. But again, it's just what Keith allows. You know what I'm saying?
That's the next. Canelo Triple G. That's why I think it should build up just a little bit, not too long, but just enough where we get a little more excitement from the casual fans, and then we can put on the pay-per-view if they really wanted to.
Yeah, I think that's a hell of a fight. But it's to keep the win. It's just, what is he going to allow? But if Errol gets in and Errol gets to do what Errol does, and he gets in, like I said, he gets in and gets in that body, see how Thurman reacts to body. But you don't like it. Almost similar to football.
I think I think Keith Thurman's key to victory, if he does in fact fight Errol Spence, is his foot movement. Like he has, he moves well around the ring. Again, he utilized it against Sean Porter. Sean Porter kind of cornered him a few times, but he moves well around the ring, period. And Errol Spence, he's not really the fastest guy. He can cut off the ring pretty well. In the Kell Brook fight, Kell Brook used some pretty good movement for as long as it lasted. But he's been consistent with his footwork when it comes to using the ring to his full advantage. So again, this is going to be a good fight if and when it happens. I'm not going to say who I'm pulling for because I'm a fan of both guys. I just don't like the way sometimes Keith, when Keith wasn't champion, he was very vocal about, I'm not afraid to let my old go. He didn't say it like that, but y'all know what I mean. And, he wanted to fight everybody and anybody. And then I heard a video interview where he was like, when he gets the belt, he's going to make sure, anybody who's a worthy challenge, he's going to give him a chance. And like now, he's kind of politicking a little bit where he's like talking about business this and rematch that. And like, he doesn't have that same kind of attitude now that he's champion than he did when he was a hungry non-champion. So again, I know, when you're in a position of power, it kind of changes the way you view, your career. You want to take steps to where you can preserve it longer. And that's understandable. But I guess the reason why I don't like it too much is that he was so adamant and passionate, when he didn't have a title about how he was going to do this, that, and the third. And then now that he has the belt, he's so passionate about not wanting to fight these people in the sense the way he kind of dodges some questions. And again, I understand having a fight build because again, you want to maximize your dollars at the end of the day, but you could still, kind of, I guess, delay a fight, but not sound like I mean, this is the way he responds. Like he kind of sugarcoats his yeses and nos. Like he kind of gives you like a Trump kind of answer where he'll answer the question, but put a lot of icing on it. Like he has to make sure you hear what he's saying, but you don't understand what he's saying sometimes.
I know he's into like philosophy and stuff. I think he just tries to say too much.
Professor Key. That's what I call it. Professor Key. Yeah.
Well,
gives you an analogy, everything with it. Bibliography, all of it.
I mean, he gave us 2 good fights back to back, though. You get Sean Porter and then Danny Garcia immediately after, so. And understandably, his elbow injury. So we'll see what happens in 2018.
Yeah, I think the Smith fight is long as well, depending on after this Peterson fight and how that goes, and if Spence gets anything after that, how that part goes. You know what I mean? As long as Spence stays on track and Thurman's on track, I think that's the clash that we're gonna get, whatever it is, whether it's the end of 18 or the first part of 19. You know what I mean? But I think that's the collision course that's set forth right now.
Mm-hmm.
As long as everybody takes care of business on their hands, and everybody stays injury free too.
Right.
Team American. That's all I gotta say.
Hey, American, I feel like he gained a lot of weight. I got him on Snapchat.
He hasn't been fighting. I mean, all he could do is gain weight. I think he's still nursing an injury allegedly. So just like Keith Thurman, look a little, thickened around the neck area. So
yeah, hey, look healthy.
Get a long vacation.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't end up like huge right now.
Yes, that's really tired.
Right.
Well,
Got any more final thoughts and comments on tonight? It's like 3 a.m. here on the East Coast. About to wrap it up.
Showtime on Showtime. Showtime did it again.
Yeah, really good. Showtime, I think I would have to look back at it, but I think Showtime definitely put on better fights than HBO, but I have to double check on that. But I think they did a really good job this year. But then HBO put on that Superfly card, so I mean, both of them been doing pretty good.
The good thing for us is the fans. If we have to that means we're getting a lot of good boxing on both networks. You know what I mean? So the Showtime putting them on, but I noticed they try to counteract each other.
Mm-hmm.
But if HBO do something, Showtime comes something top that. HBO try to come right behind Showtime and try to top that. So at the end of the day, we win.
Mm-hmm.
We have no ties to either one of them, right? So, hey, we just looking for the channel, press and record. You know what I mean?
I agree. Showtime, in my opinion, has been putting on the better cards and not really, trying to kill us with all the pay-per-view stuff. Because again, that's really what's kind of killing HBO. That they try to put these lesser quality fights on pay-per-view, and then it doesn't work out. I mean, of course, the best fight they had on pay-per-view was the Triple G and Canelo fight. I believe that was an HBO pay-per-view card. But every other pay-per-view they had this year, I don't think it was really worthy of paying for. In Showtime, they're consistent where they may have a pay-per-view here or there, but the majority of their good fights are on just their network in general, which is why I appreciate this particular card, because this really, when you think about it, this could have been on pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
But yeah, they put it on network, they're just on the network, which of course I appreciate because well, Yeah, we're not gonna talk about the Lord. That no, Laura, that was a great fight. As a matter of fact, Laura should fight Amir Khan in his next fight. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it was a good card. I mean, I was looking forward to this card for weeks. I mean, again, I was kind of pulling for Lubin, although I didn't think he was gonna win. Laura, I like his fights. I mean, they're not the most exciting, but again, I like the technical aspect of what he brings to a fight. And I thought, to be honest, Austin Trout would probably pull it out against her, and it looked like he was going to do that, leading up to when he didn't. But I mean, overall, it was a good night of fights. I guess the next fight card, I'm not sure what's coming up. I think Gulev and Joshua. I think is
Thursday. Then Thursday, Rosado versus Tapia, and then
that's right.
And then at the end of the month, Joshua versus Pulev. So a couple more this month, and then next month, Wilder, Laverne.
Wilder's Laverne too.
And then December is heating up. We got like 3-4 solid fights already. So.
Yep.
So, all right, we'll wrap it up. Again, can't be saved by the bell. Owens Boxing, Dialog, and Standing 8 Count. We all have independent channels. The links for each channel is in the description below. We do new videos every week. And then we do these videos live, part of our community, Split Decision Boxing Community, SDBC. So thanks, guys. We'll keep in touch as always. And then if you're watching, that's next time.
Team Khan, salute.
Team Khan.
Adios.